Hello everyone, my name is Crystal and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, then hit that subscribe button because we're friends, we just haven't met yet. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to look at something. This probably won't be a very long live, but I'm going to show you all something, and I want you, if you do not mind, to put in the chat where you think you saw this from. Now, straight up, I'm still having some problem with my speech because of the surgery on my mouth, but I'm healing. Praise God, I'm healing. But I saw all over YouTube what some people think they saw, where some people think they saw this at. And I'm just curious. I'm just really, really curious as to where the people that watch my channel think they saw this. Now, just a moment. Okay, if you can see the photo on the screen, please let me know. Hello, Aurora. Hello, Sherry. Hello, hippie grandma. Okay, now, when you look at this photo, this is one of the first photos that was released of law enforcement. You can tell that they are taking a photo of a phone that's on a phone. If you look at the side down here, you can pretty much see that right there is the end of the phone. Now, let me know where you all think you saw this photo at. Do you think it is a screenshot? When you look at this, do you think of the video that you saw that Candace's mom was taken that day? It was supposed to be a photo. She accidentally hit record and it was a video. Who always heard this story? I'm really curious. Where do you all think this photo came from? Do you think, I guess, put a 1 in chat if you think this photo is a screenshot. Okay, Running Fox says, I first saw it on Unmasked, Candace had sent it to Teresa on Unmasked with her written answers to interview questions. That's where I saw it too. But did we think this was a screenshot? Yeah, it is a picture took of someone else's phone. But the picture, after we saw the video, am I the only one that thought it was a screenshot from that video? It may just be me. Who all thought this was a screenshot from the video? Kiko says no, came off video. So you thought this was, I may be misunderstanding you. So you thought this was a screenshot. Let me see here. Can't tell if it's a screen grab from the short 7-second video or if it's the accompanying photo, as we've told there were both. Okay. And Joni says, yes, she thought it was a screenshot. Okay. The reason I ask you that is because I want to show you all something. This actually is a separate photo. And just a moment, and I will prove it to you. Like I said, please bear with me. I don't do very many lives. Okay. But I will show you that it was, in fact, a separate video. Okay. Now, let me see here. Now I'm going to show you the video itself. Okay. Okay. Now let's play this. Notice her hand right here, how close it is to her shirt. Okay. Notice how close her hand is to her shirt. Okay, I'll play it one more time. And right at the beginning of the video, I want you to look at her hand that is next to the milk and how close it is to her shirt. It's right next to her shirt right here. Make it larger. Just a second. Okay. One more time. Let me see. Okay. Did you all see it? Okay, one more time. Look how close her hand is to her shirt. It's right next to her shirt, you all. See that hand next to the milk? It's right up here next to her shirt. Okay. Now, let's look again. At this photo. See how far it is down here? Can you all see it? I think YouTube's a little bit behind StreamYard, but look how far it is down here. But in the video, it's way up here, right next to her shirt. But her hand is way down here, almost, well, it is on the seat in this photo. At no point during that video is her hand that close to her shirt. What do you all think? Okay, I'm going to look at chat a minute. Okay. In the video, Running Fox says, I'm lost. What are we comparing? In the video, if you notice, her hand that is next to the milk is right next. I mean, it's almost touching her shirt. In the photo that's went online, it's laying closer to the seat. I'll show y'all again. Because to me, that's a game changer. Because if she took that picture separate after the video, and after she knew that, well, that her arm wasn't still up there, then why? Let me see here. And it's just something to look at. We look at everything, right? Okay. And here is the video again. I mean, the photo. Okay. See right here? See how close her hand is to the seat? It's down off her leg. I want you to just to pay attention. I know there is a lot in this photo, but just look at this hand right here next to the milk. It's laying on the seat right here. Look how her fingers are curved right here. Now, I want you to think of that. And then I'm going to show you the video, which is completely different. Okay. Okay. Now, look right here. I want you to pay attention to that hand in this video. See how close that hand is to the shirt? It's almost touching. We barely can see the fingers in this video. For one, how did they get a whole arm? But right there is her fingers, and it's right next to her shirt. It's not laying on the seat at any point. It's here. One more time. There's her hand in the photo. Notice her hand in the photo. And now notice her hand in this video. Okay, I'm going to show it one more time here. Let me know when you all can see it on the screen. Okay. Right here is the video. Right here is her hand. Right here is her hand. It's almost touching her shirt. Here's one of her little fingers, and here's one of her little fingers. To me, those hands are completely different. Her hand is up around her shirt, closer to the seat belt, obviously propped on her thigh. And in the picture, it's laying on the seat. So, I mean, I'm no professional whatsoever, but to me, it's a photo. It isn't a screen grab. It's cut off for me too, but I can see the little bitty pieces. I mean, little bitty parts of her hand. I didn't notice this at first. And if you can't see it on here, there is plenty of videos out there. I do encourage you to look at them. But her hand is closer to her shirt. It isn't a screen grab. In my opinion, it's not a screen grab. And again, I'm not saying this is proof that Candace did anything to Summer. In no way. It is something to look at, though. I'm not saying that she wasn't alive. I hold on to the hope that Summer is alive now. I'm not in no way saying that she wasn't alive. This, to me, she said that it could be two things. She said she asked her mom to take the photo. Maybe her mom did take a photo. I don't know. But every time I saw this photo, in my mind, I have thought, and I'm speaking only for myself, I have thought that, well, it's a screenshot from the video. Now I look at it, it looks like it's completely different. That the hand is in a different spot. It looks like it was a photo taken separately from the video. I mean, it's just something to look at. I've not really noticed a lot of people talking about it. I've not really been online much this week. Earlier in the week I was. I guess you could say the last time I was really online long enough to even notice stuff that was going on was when the milk got soured. And Running Fox says, no, I always knew there's a photo separate from the video. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't. And that's what I was saying. I didn't know if everybody had saw it the way that I had. Yeah, they are seconds apart. And that's what I'm saying. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is, I see a lot of this going on in this case. And by all means, people are going to do what people are going to do. Nothing that I say or anybody else says is going to make a difference as far as somebody has got their mind set to something. But one thing I saw a lot of is people encouraging people to call CPS on people that they have no idea who they are. And I am going to say this, it does bother me. I am a foster parent myself. And I'm going to be straight with you. There are not enough foster parents out there. There's not. And you can get a call almost every day for a placement. Whether that placement is right for your home or not is completely separate. But imagine, just go with me here for just a moment. Imagine you are a small child. Maybe you're sitting at your kitchen table eating cereal. Maybe you're in your room playing with your toys. You might be in the living room watching cartoons. Whatever your daily routine was that day. And you get a knock on the door. And at that door are cops and CPS. They come into your home. They inspect your home. They pull your parents aside. They talk to your parents. But then, and trust me, this is what will happen. Then they pull you aside and they ask you difficult questions that as a kid you don't really understand. That's kind of traumatic. Now, imagine that your parents are good parents. They're taking care of you. For whatever reason, someone on the internet got their feelings hurt and decided to tell a group of people to start mass reporting. First of all, this uses up CPS's time going through these allegations. There are kids out there that do need them. And do not make no mistake, CPS is human. They make mistakes. Whenever anybody is human, mistakes will be made. Yeah, you are absolutely 100% right. They do not need to be wasting their time on bullcrap, because there's other kids out there that need them. Now, when do you call CPS? You call CPS if you see bruises on kids. You should call CPS if you might notice bruises, cuts, and other signs of physical injury on their body. Keep in mind and that if a kid is not mobile, it should not have bruises on it. If they're not crawling, trying to walk, stuff like that, they shouldn't have bruises on them. When a kid's being abused, 9 times out of 10, they will show signs of that abuse, whether it's withdrawing from others, being inappropriate themselves in ways. Those are instances to call CPS when you have saw these things and you feel strongly about it. If you see with your own eyes somebody mistreating any child, I don't care if it's your brother's child, your sister's child, then if you see it with your eyes, you call the law and they will call CPS. Do not let these children be abused. In no way let these kids be abused. What is not appropriate, you don't call CPS because of a rumor. You don't call CPS because you're mad at somebody. You don't call CPS to get even. And it's sad that we even need to say this, but evidently it does need to be said. Now, I'm not mentioning any creators, but I did watch a video the other day that did encourage people to call CPS on somebody they have no idea what goes on in their home. No idea. And people may unsubscribe to me for saying this, but if you're following people like that, they're not in this to help Summer. If they're getting mixed up in drama and arguing backwards and forwards, they're probably not in this for the right reasons. Now, I do understand people coming out and taking up for themselves. But when taking up for yourself goes on for a week at a time, it gets a little bit ridiculous. Like everybody else, I want Summer found. I do. Like I said, I'm a foster parent, and she is the reason. Because when I started out with my channel, I had just a couple videos made of Summer. I had did the Summer Wells Challenge. Then I went to Rogersville and I retraced their events as told that day. At no point did I harass anybody. I did this because I wanted an understanding of how far apart each place they stopped was and how long it would take for them to get from one spot to the other, staying at each place the time limit that they gave account for. It did not take me very long to say I'm putting out what everybody else is. So after praying about it, talking to my husband about it, what was right for us to do was to enter the foster care system and become foster parents. Our daughter is turning 18. She'll be going off to college. My son is already an adult with a child and another one on the way. He's got his own family, his own home. And we've got those rooms. We have the means and the ability to help kids. And that was the route that I felt led to do. Now, I know that that's probably not something that everyone can do. Would I have done it when I had small children? Probably not. Probably not. Because you've got to keep in mind, when kids come into your home, usually a traumatic event has brought them there. And they need your attention. Well, it's really, really hard to give the attention needed to that child if you have several other kids that also need attention. Just because it was right for us don't mean it's right for everybody. But I do encourage people, no matter what it is, YouTube isn't always the way to help. And do I think that law enforcement has done everything in Summer's case that they possibly could? I wish that I could say I do, but I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. It's been almost a year. Almost a year. They've not come out with a suspect. They've not, a person of interest. It don't feel like, and I could be wrong. I know they're not going to put everything out there. I know that. But it feels like they're no closer than they was. And the reason I say that is because all their interviews and press conferences says exactly that. We're really no closer than we were. I don't know how everybody else feels. At this point, I feel like the only thing that I, as a person, can do for Summer is pray for her. It is disgusting and heartbreaking that people would waste resources. And it's also sad that it feels like a lot of people don't have their own opinions. Anything that I say on this channel, I encourage you. Don't take my word for it. I am a human. I will make mistakes. Don't take my word for it. Go do your research. Gather your own opinion. An echo chamber is not what I'm looking for. It's not. And I mean, I can disagree with other creators without going for their throat. We are all entitled to our own opinions. I have always felt that it is a great possibility that Summer wandered off. In this area, there are tons of RSOs. I have always felt like she could have wandered off and became a crime of opportunity to the wrong person. Do I know that's what happened? No. But if I'm looking at what law enforcement has put out, that is the direction that they're leaning, is that she wandered off, got lost in the terrain. Now, I live back in the country. I mean, I live so far in the country that you have to pump the sunlight in. And our terrain is about like Ben Hill, if not worse. I would thought with 2 searches and all the agencies that they had, if she wandered off and got hurt, they would have found her. That's why it leads me to think maybe she did wander off. But during that time, she may have been saw by the wrong person at the wrong time. Yeah, it is a crime, or I know it is in my state. It is a crime to make a false report to CPS. You can be charged. I'm not really sure what all has went on this week or anything like that. I am going to put the link out there if anybody wants to come up. And like I said, I don't want an echo chamber. I think people coming together, if they're doing it for the right reasons and discussing the things that don't make sense to them, if it helps find Summer, why can't we do that? What don't help find Summer is arguing for hours on live streams. That don't help her. It takes away from her case. Anybody want to come up? I love to bounce ideas off of people. Maybe you want to say something about the photo that I showed. The video. Anything you want to talk about. But I cannot stress, people. I can't stress enough. If you have not saw abuse, don't be calling CPS on people, because it's not right. It don't only, you think maybe it's getting even with that creator, but it's disrupting those children too. And those children have not got a dog in this fight. Exactly. I mean, I don't know about you all, but me and my own siblings disagree on a lot. That's what, I mean, me and my own husband disagree. It don't mean we're going to go head to head for a whole week. I'm not going to like turn my back and not even talk to him because we have a disagreement. No. Adults come together, they talk about it. Now, I'll tell you what gets me. Everybody is willing to call CPS on people they don't even know. They've never even saw these kids, let alone been able to see a bruise. But now let's look at poor Summer's case. We have all kinds of people that allegedly, it's all alleged, allegedly saw her abused. They saw the kids be gave drugs. They saw Summer showering with Don. They saw the boys put down on blacktop. The list goes on and on, but not one call have we seen where any adult called the police and said, hey, I'm standing here. I have saw these parents abuse their kids. You need to come out here and do something. Not one time. Show me that 911 call. Now that does aggravate me because they've got on live streams. They said, I saw this. One person even said her own grandkid was probably, and that's the way she said it, abused, essayed by Dawn. She probably was. You're putting that on your own grandkid. When you're saying probably, which means you don't know, you have no idea, but you're getting on lives where there's thousands of people watching with no real facts. That's what you're doing? Well, I'm sorry. I don't find you credible if you would do your own grandkid that way. Because if you know those kids was abused, and I said this and I will continue to say it, if you know they were abused, if you know they were essayed, if you knew they were taking showers with, or Summer was taking showers with Dawn, if you knew they were being given drugs, there is ways to prove that. First of all, if they were given drugs, it would be in their system. Why did you not call the law? Was you too busy? Was your life too busy? Were you in a hurry to get to Walmart to buy something? So you just didn't take the time? I mean, I would really love to know the answer. Or was you afraid that the law might show up at your house and bust you for selling drugs? I mean, we see what revenge will do. It'll get CPS called on everybody. So is that why you didn't report Summer taking a shower with Dawn? Because you was afraid there'd be retaliation and they'd call on you and possibly find a drug house? Exactly, Susan. None of them called the law. The only reason they called the law was one, to get their kids off the hill. But you also stated, ma'am, that you went to work that day. Let me tell you something. If my kids was at somebody's house that threatened to blow my brains out, I'm not going into work. I'm going on that hill with the cops, and I'm bringing my babies off of it. I mean, that's how I see it. Second of all, why are they up there anyway if you're having such a feud? Why are you letting your kid go to Warrior's Path if you and this woman don't get along, and you and all of your family says you've seen her give drugs and alcohol to other children? Why are you putting your kid in that situation to have the same doggone thing done to them? It speaks volumes, ma'am. It speaks volumes. I'm sorry, but it drives me nuts. Every single time I see an interview where somebody said, oh, I saw it. I saw it. I saw it through the window. He was taking a shower with her. Okay. Why didn't you call the law? Leslie, you said you flipped over a pool that kids was evidently playing with. Can you explain to me why you didn't call the law? I mean, you were being real big and bad in that moment, but yet you didn't call the law. You thought these kids was being abused, but you didn't call the law. You just went out there and flipped over a pool that all the kids was playing in. First of all, you wouldn't do that at my house. If you see a kid abused, you call the law. And if you're going to get on a live stream and say it, then why was you not woman enough to call the law back then? Why did you let it happen? You saw these kids get drugs. Why did you let that happen? These kids was drinking alcohol. Why did you let it happen? And I say, why did you let it happen? Because if you saw it happen and you didn't call the law, then you are the problem. You're about 98% of the reason that everybody on YouTube is looking for a missing child right now. I agree. I agree. Let's use a little bit of logic, shall we? Look how many people have come into this case pretending to be the Wells friends, and then get on live streams, throwing their cash app out there. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jody Sue, you want to talk about everybody getting on live streams for clicks and views and cash apps and all that? That's fine, ma'am, but take your cash app out of yours. Lady R, I heard that. I heard that. Can I prove it? No, I can't prove it. But if that was going on, whoever can prove it, I'd love to know why they didn't call the law. It seems like so much could have been prevented just if people chose to be law-abiding citizens. A lot of people, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If you see a kid abused, you don't pick up the phone and call CPS that's going to make an appointment to come out. You call the law and let them call CPS. Then they'll pull CPS out there to the scene. If kids are being given drugs, they'll do a drug test. If kids are being molested, then they will do the test to find out. Call the law. And for God's sakes, don't get on a lie saying your own grandchild has went through that and then put the word probably in the same sentence. Somebody come up here and join me. Here's the link. Somebody grab it, please. I mean, are we helping? Are we helping or are we making it worse? I don't care if it is a creator that I can't listen to more than 20 seconds. If I don't know their kids are for sure being abused, I'm not calling CPS. Now, in that same respect, if I see somebody mistreating their children, abusing their children, or abusing any child, I don't care who they are. I'm calling the law. You're not laying kids on blacktops in front of Cold Case Crystal. You're not giving kids drugs in front of me and me not calling the law. And you know what? Not only am I calling the law, but I'm going to stand there until they get there to make sure something's done. I don't understand it, y'all. I don't understand how there has been so many people claim to be eyewitnesses, but we haven't got the 911 call one. We've got all kinds of other 911 calls put out, but not one of them said, I witnessed these people abusing their kid. Don't get me wrong. I am not for or against the Wells. What I am for is justice. Period. Wherever that may fall. If Candace and Dawn are guilty, then they need to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. But in the same regards, if anybody else is, the same thing needs to happen to them. And in the same respect, to find answers, I've not played buddy-buddy with Wells. And I'm not going to. There's a lot of things that are messed up in this case. A lot. You've got RSOs running around like fleas on the ground. That's how bad it is down there. You've got a sheriff that says there's not a drug problem when all you got to do is do one Google search and you'll find out they are. And I'm sorry, in all of his interviews, he seems so disconnected from this case. Almost like he don't want to be bothered. You've got a neighbor that heard a scream. She was hyper vigilant, searching property lines, couldn't hardly get up. Her kids had to help her up that day. But in just a few short hours, she's a walking the creeks, looking for a child she don't even know is missing yet. And we, as the public, are supposed to hear her say this and overlook it. I said it before, it's the one thing that stands out in my mind. If I hear my neighbor screaming for her kid, and I heard a scream earlier, and I'm putting those two together, I'm thinking somebody's hurt, not somebody's missing. I'm going to her house. I'm not jumping in the creek. That didn't happen. Then you claim it's all about Summer, when in that very interview you said, I'm sorry. And she says, Summer's missing. And she says, I heard her scream. Where was the last place you saw her? And you don't give the answer to that question. You asked the first important question and you didn't give the answer to it. You didn't. You went on to tell how you felt. You've been messaging with Andy all day long, evidently. Not one time did you mention the neighbor is missing? Not one time did you say, I heard a strange noise today. Heard a scream. Me and the kids had to go out looking for it. Because according to you, the day before, you had all kinds of arguments at the end of your driveway with Jackie Dobbs, whom I spoke with, by the way, and says he's going to put his story out there himself. And I don't blame him. Am I saying everything about Jackie is like straight? Nope. I don't buy a property and never go back and look at it. So far, there's not been one person, one good, honest person to come into this case, not one, that says they knew anything. And I'm sorry, it seems like the most honest one that I've heard so far is Andy's cousin, Fred, who shot somebody in the neck. So what does that tell you? Do I think he was honest about everything? No, but I do believe he put some truth in there. Then you look at Donald Sharfy on JLR's video. What's one of the first things he said? He had to pull a gun on her. He had to pull a gun on her. She was harassing neighbors. Very rough neighborhood. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I went down there, it was kind of creepy even turning on to Ben Hill. And I questioned myself. And like I said, I didn't go to interview anybody. I didn't go to make friends with Candace. I didn't go to harass the neighbors, and I didn't go to scream at a mountaintop. I went there to get an idea of where everything was. And I don't know, maybe I had that weird, creepy feeling turning onto the road because I knew what happened. That could have very well played a big part in the way I felt. But it felt odd. When I was leaving Ben Hill Road, then I about got run over top of by 3 carloads of cops. What was going on that day, I have no clue. But they were there. And since I'm putting everything out there, when I went there that day and I retraced the steps, staying at Priceless, the length of time they said they did, staying at Warriors Park, the 15 to 20 minutes that they said they did, it didn't take me to 2 o'clock to get H back to his house. I could have had him back there by 1. Matter of fact, just when I went, I was just doing that. I left at the time she said she left. I showed up at H's at the time they said she showed up there. I parked long enough for where it would be like giving them time to get in a vehicle, having their conversations. I went back to the hospital, sat there, gave it time like I would be picking up somebody and give them time to get into a vehicle. I did all that. And let me tell you, I made it back to Kentucky by 3:45. So what took so long? I don't understand. Even at Walgreens, I watched a car pull up and drop a prescription off. I didn't pull out till that car did. Yeah, Lady R. They didn't believe it because it wasn't true. Let's be real. It wasn't true. Then you got her going on live last week saying that Andy was threatening her with Ronnie Lawson because he'd done favors for him. If he's doing favors for you, well, not you, but your boyfriend, how far would his favors go? Are you saying Ronnie is a dirty cop? I mean, It's an honest question. If he do favors for Andy, how far does those favors go? And I got the screen grab. I may put it out there. I mean, I think everyone needs questioned in this, including the parents. Everyone needs looked at. But by all means, if you're trying to find something to do with your time, don't spend it wasting resources that children need, claiming you're doing it to find a kid. Don't do that in Summer's name. Because the only thing you're doing is possibly taking away from their time of actually removing a child that actually needs removed. What happens to that kid? Because you made a false claim. Because you want to be a part of a community that's supporting a particular creator. Are you going to claim you didn't know it happened? Well, it's on your hands. If you're tying up their time and another kid is took or hurt, that's on you. And if you're going to do something like that, I'm just going to put this out there. If you're going to do something like mass report to CPS on people that don't need reported, then get off your hiney and out behind a screen, and you go out here and either donate to see these foster places. I'm through a private agency. Donate to them. Do you know how kids come into the homes? Sit back and enjoy a reality check. 95% of them that's ever came through my door come through with their stuff in a garbage bag. How about you get off your hind end and buy some duffel bags so these kids can come into homes that way? %95 of them walk in with a small grocery bag and everything they own fits in it. Go down there and volunteer. If you have time to sit on a computer and make mass reports to CPS on children you've never laid eyes on, and you're doing it because you're listening to the quote popular creator that week, then you got time to get out here, get a job, a job, get you a job, and start sending in some donations to these places so they can help kids that need it. But don't sit behind a screen and claim that you're helping Summer Wells, because you're not. And if the truth hurts, get you a Band-Aid. Take you a Tylenol. But it is the truth. Kids you've never laid eyes on, you call CPS over rumors and speculations. When 95%, I'd say you could walk 5 doors down from where you live and actually find a kid that isn't living in the best conditions. There's plenty of them out there. But you sit behind a screen and you follow a creator. Well, my Bible tells me that if the blind follow the blind, they'll both fall into the ditch. Boy, isn't that the truth. See? I see it all the time. all the time. Let me tell you something. When kids come into my home, I try to have an open communication with these kids, because a lot of them don't feel normal. They see kids that's still in the home with their mom and dad at school. The word foster itself is like a cuss word to most of them. Lady R, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you feel like that? They come into these homes and they don't know how long they're going to be there. So finding something that is called a home is hard. Have you ever moved to another school with your family? Have you? Do you remember how awkward that felt? How nervous you were going into a school system you'd never been before? You've left all your family behind, or all your friends behind at this other school, and it's time to start over. And you're with your family, but it's still hard. Now imagine you're not with your family. It's just you. And not only are you going into a school that you've never been before, you've left all your friends behind, but you're in a home that you're not used to. And do you think that it disappears when they get 18? No, it don't. A lot of these kids ask themselves, why was I not enough for my parents to get clean? Why was I not enough for them to get on the straight and narrow? Why was I not enough? Why did they hit me? Why was I not loved? These are the questions these kids ask themselves every single day. Why am I not enough? And the fact is, they are enough. Now, let me explain something to you. Foster care, the main goal of it is actually reunification with the parents. It's not a step before adoption. Your goal is for the parents to do whatever they need to do, whether that's get clean, get a place safe for the kids to live, just straighten their act up in general, get whatever treatment they need to need to get better, and get their children back. And your home is where they come, and these kids come and get support, love, the things that they need every single day, like food, shelter. But I will say love is one of the most important things, until their family can get their act together. Whomever they live with, whatever home they were taken out of. The goal in foster care is reunification with their family. And if you're a decent foster parent, you support that. You pray for that family to get better. You don't sit there hoping their parents will fail. And you want to talk about the money. I hear a lot of people saying, well, they just do it for the money. If you're a decent foster parent, you make nothing. If anything, you're out money. Yeah, I know everybody is not good. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, you don't make anything. You can be a blessing to these kids, but you've got to keep in mind that they walk through torment getting to your home. And none of them enter your home without pain and without thought. None of them do. And no matter, and I saw a lot of foster kids, no matter what happened at their home, they come into your home missing home. About 80% of them. You know why? Because that's what they're used to. She says, I was babysitting when police and social worker came and took the boy. His 2-year-old brother had a spinal fracture of the femur bone, and both boys were removed from the parents. I was heartbroken. Yeah. And I imagine you were relieved because they were now safe, but it's still heartbreaking for these kids. They're being pulled out of what they know. Look at this. My first foster parents were evil people. My second foster home, Mr. and Mrs. Foot, were great folks. See, even if you get these kids removed, you don't know where they're being put. Everybody's not great. I would like to think that my home is one of the better ones. Am I perfect? Nope. They jailed the father and set goals for the mother. She did the minimum. 30 days later, they returned the boys to parents. Let dad out of jail. Lack of evidence. The older boy whispered to me, my dad. If you want to see something tragic, you look into the eyes of a small child. That's no matter what they've come from. No matter what they have come from, they're being pulled out of what they know. You're not just having these kids removed from their parents. You're having them 95% of the time removed from the school district. And the attention needs to be on them. I mean, it's sad. It is sad. Lady R says she was in foster care, or that's how I understood it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And like I said, they 95% of the time show up with a bag, their stuff in a small bag. Everything they own will fit in this little grocery bag. And 95% of them, you're up all night because they're tore up. They're crying. It's not easy on them. And like I said, some CPS get it wrong. We've seen it happen. We've seen CPS drop the ball. Here's Martha says, I'm adopted mom and foster mom. I raised my own 3 and then started all over again. I've had my 3 years before Mom OD'd and died. Second foster family was, I'm thinking, Mr. and Mrs. Foote from Connecticut. They are retired now, elderly, amazing folks. I'm telling you, like I was saying, CPS are humans, and anywhere there is a human, mistakes can be made. Now, what if they go into a home where these kids has been playing? Maybe they do have a bruise or two on them because they're country kids and been outside playing. It happens. What if they get removed from a good family because you got a half a dozen people on YouTube that watch one 5-second video, listen to one creator, and thinks it's right to start mass reporting? What if they're removed while an investigation is done until they go to that court hearing to see if there was reason to remove this child? Then you had a kid that was being took care of, took out of the home and put God knows where, when foster care is crowded as it is. Yeah. Kids that are mobile get hurt. I had 4 children. And I did not plan on going into this, and I'm not going deep into it. But at the time in 2005, I had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old. Now, in August of 2005, my home caught on fire in the middle of the night. And I lost my 2 middle kids to that fire. One of the middle kids, he was 2 years old when he passed away. But he was almost 1 when we figured out he couldn't feel pain. He was always getting hurt. He would always bite on his fingers because he didn't feel the pain. If he cried because of being scared or aggravated, not because of pain. He was premature. I went into labor early. My mother that year had open heart surgery. I'd stayed at her at the hospital taking care of my mom, and I went into labor. That's why they believe he couldn't feel pain, is because he was premature. But we didn't know he couldn't feel pain for a long time. A long time. And him and his brother, who was 3 when he passed away, he was 2 when this happened, was playing on my mom's porch. And the kid that couldn't feel pain, his name was Peyton. The other one's name is Ethan. That's my sons that passed away. But Peyton had fell on his elbow and went playing like kids will do. He did not feel the pain. When I got him home and was giving him a bath, I noticed it was bruising and swelling. So I immediately took him to the ER. His arm was broke. Evidently, he had fell off my mom's porch onto a rock and had broke that arm, but he didn't cry. I had no idea he was hurt. And I'm here to tell you, I felt about an inch tall in the ER when they were saying, how did you not know that he broke his arm? They called CPS up there, did a whole investigation thing. And I be dogs if 2 months later, this same kid, we didn't know he couldn't feel pain, ended up taking the shade off the lamp and burning himself with a light. And right back to the ER I had to go. Well, guess what happened? They tried to clean that spot and noticed that he didn't flinch. He just looked at it in amazement. Thank God I had that doctor at that ER that night. Because what he done was send him to get tests where they figured out he couldn't feel pain. But it could have very well been CPS again. That kid got hurt all the time. He didn't know what he was doing was hurting him. When he bit on his fingers, he didn't know it was hurting. And in return, he would hit his brothers just as hard as he could because he didn't know it was hurting them. He didn't understand. Very true, Lady R. I mean, you never know what kids. That's the reason I say, make sure you know what's going on. Don't be reporting because of rumors. Don't be reporting because you're just following the minority of people that just have a problem with somebody. I'm not calling CPS on my worst enemy over an allegation. That is also, like I said, in 2005, and this is something I never really planned on putting on my channel. I've told my story on other platforms before. But it's one thing, what I went through is the reason I don't stand back and just dog these parents. Because I can't live with myself if I harassed people to the point of causing mental health problems. And maybe in the end, they're innocent. I've got to live with myself tomorrow. Now, have they done some shady stuff? Yes. And I don't understand it. I don't. But I'm not going to run it in the ground. I'm going to look at everything. Yeah, I mean, accidents happen. And a lot of times, especially when they've been took to the ER, it's the innocent parents that are getting CPS called on them. Sorry, mom and dad, nine times out of 10 aren't taking their kids to the ER. They're not finding out what's wrong with them, especially if they done the damage themselves. Does it happen? Yeah, it does. I mean, in training, we were showed this video of this small baby, maybe 2 months old, had a small, real small bruise beside its navel. And The mom said she thought maybe the car seat had pinched the baby, but yet it didn't cry. The doctor decided to do x-rays and blood work on this child. And when that blood work come back, this kid was bleeding from his liver. And his, just a second. His intestines had been ruptured. Kid almost died. It was a small bruise. And when they did the investigation, they found out that the mom worked night shift, but she had a boyfriend. And he was taking care of the kid while mama worked. And he would get mad because he couldn't get the kid to quit crying. Now, did the mom know this kid was being abused? No. But because that doctor saw one little bruise and did the blood work and did the scans, this child's life was saved. They never caught that man. Never did. So there are times that doctors can save kids' lives by going on just a hunch. But I think proper procedures needs to be done. I think back to 2005 and I wonder, because what happened to us was on a lot of news stations, Fox being one of them. We woke up and our home, we lived in a single wide trailer, was fully engulfed. And I will be honest with you, trying to get back into that trailer, I went to a window that was open. I got turned around in the middle of it. In my own home that I walked in daily, I got turned around. And I found a window and put my head out of it just to try to get some air. Thinking I could get back into that house, I went out that window. And trying to get back into that home was like walking through raining fire. My daughter, she was in a baby bed next to a window. And I busted that window out and got her out. My oldest son was at his father's for visitation. And as hard as I tried, I couldn't get my boys out. And I wonder how in the world people would have spent that. The most traumatic moment of my life. My husband almost lost his life trying to get our kids out of that home. It took a week to even get my boys buried because my husband was in a burn unit over 100 miles away. I traveled to that burn unit, and then I would come back to the house, to my mom's house, and try to make arrangements for our kids to be buried. And how I done it, I can't tell you. It had to be God. I know it was God. I don't know how I stayed sane. You would be amazed of what you don't think you can go through, of how when you are in that moment, you just might find out you're wrong. Now, I will say that I had my daughter and my oldest son, and they were the reason I pushed forward. They were the reason I didn't give up. But it was the most traumatic point of my life. And if I'm being honest with you, I would have probably went right over the edge if people were harassing me at that moment. I'd like to think I'm stronger than that, but I don't know. I'd like to say that's the only traumatic thing I went through in my life, but it's not. In 2015, 2016, no, it's 2014. 2014, my mom had fit cancer 3 times, and she won. And she had diabetes, so her kidneys started shutting down. One day, she went to dialysis, and she didn't make it home. I worked at a nursing home at that time, and I hadn't drove. A lady took me to the hospital where my mom was, and I was the only one that was there when my mom died. I was by myself until the rest of my family got there. That was traumatic. A year later, my sister went into the hospital, had been there for months. Now, she was my first best friend. A blood clot killed her. She didn't come home. A year later, after that, my dad found out he had lung cancer. When he got out of the hospital, I brought him home. I took care of him in my home. And me and my other siblings lost my dad. So when it comes to tragedy, I've looked it in the eyes quite a few times, and I'll be honest with you, I sit back and I ask, what have I done to deserve this? But at the same time, I can tell you that God never left me. He never let me down. People's kind words, people's prayer got me through it. There's a neighbor, even to the day, if she gets me on her mind, she will shoot me a message. I got you on my mind. I want you to know I'm praying for you. I love you. That means the world to me. We never know what people have went through. So why put more on them? And I'm not exactly talking about the Wells here. I'm more so talking about the creators that had to deal with so many CPS being called on them when they're probably dealing with things in their life anyway. We can get on here and have some great times on lives, and that's good. I've met some great people on YouTube. But don't get it twisted that when these people get off these panels, they have lives outside of YouTube. I personally don't think that we should be messing with that. Not on stuff that we haven't got facts for. Yeah, there's some that get on lives and they stay on lives for 11 and a half hours, and that makes me wonder, what time are you spending with your kids? But for the most part, just regular people. Regular people that have something in common, and that was caring about a kid they never met. Some people went the extra mile. But then there's others that sit behind a computer and they didn't try to make no change other than dogging people. Thank you, Cassie. I'll tell you one thing. My past makes me who I am. My future is undetermined. I make my future. Thank you, Lady R. I have respect for you, and I truly respect the. I mean, I see the strength that you have. I mean, we've all been through things, people. Lady R, she growed up in foster care. I'm sure there were great and not so great moments during that. I don't know. I don't know what that's like. I grew up in the house full of my family. My mom, my dad, my brother, my two sisters. We were a big family. Were we wealthy? No. Did we have everything we wanted? Nope. One of my favorite toys was dirt. But I had everything I needed. And I thought that was pretty doggone good. My mom and dad, they worked their butt off and put food on the table. They did. Were they perfect? No. No. They weren't perfect. My dad was an alcoholic. And I know there's a stigma out there. Alcoholics abuse their kids. Mine didn't. Nope. Us kids waited till my dad was drinking to do our meanest. You know why? Because he would not spank us if he had drunk one beer. So that's when we turned into little terrors. I mean, so my dad wasn't the average alcoholic. And I'm 43 years old, and I'll be honest with you, I was a daddy's girl. Loved my dad. He was my sounding board. He'd listen to me, even if I didn't make no sense. If I was in the wrong, he'd call me out. Him or my mom, either one would. But I never thought there was a day I couldn't go to him and talk to him. If I needed them, or I was tore up about something, they were the first people I called. Thank God for the way I was raised. And like I said, one of my favorite toys was dirt. Did we have toys? Yeah. Didn't keep me out of the dirt pile, though. We've all had different walks of life. We all see this case through different eyes. When I came on here today, I came on here showing a photo and a video. My understanding, and had been, was that the photo was a screen grab of the video. And I did not come into this case at the last second. I remember when the Amber Alert went out. know where I was when it went out. My husband's an over-the-road truck driver, and I was in Texas with him. But during every bit of this, I thought that photo was a screenshot of the video. Now, some people in the chat knew different. I did not. Now I do, because I can clearly see that her hands are different in the photo than they are in the video. And I hadn't really took the time to notice that they were different before. That's my bad. My mistake. I'll own it. But the fact is, some people had saw that before and knew that it wasn't a screen grab. So we're all looking at this through different eyes. I may see something and notice something. You may see something and notice something completely different. It doesn't mean either one of us is wrong. But if we're looking at these things and we're arguing about it, are we helping? No. This is not a race for who has the most information. This is not a contest on who can get the most people from Ben Hill to come forward and talk. Or who can be best friends with Candace and get all the dirt. No. This is a missing kid. And on the 15th, she will be missing for a year. And while there's a lot of people out there that have really, really tried, there's also been others that have tried to stop them. You know, Paul said in the Bible, whenever I go to do good, evil is always present. And like I said, you've had all kinds of people come out and say they saw abuse, and nobody reported that. Now, I don't know if CPS was involved before June the 15th. Yes, it should be collaboration. Cassie, you're absolutely right. Should be working together. Where people live and the way they were raised, it causes us to look at things differently. We need to use that to an advantage, not argue about it. I also said earlier, if I would have been Jody Sue and I would have heard a scream and Candace say, "What did you do to one of the boys?" and then her hollering for Summer, and at this point, nobody's told me Summer's missing, I would have thought she was hurt. I would have ran to that house and tried to help. Why? Because that's the way I was raised. When you see somebody in trouble, you try to help them. You see somebody hurt, you try to help them. But not one time, living back in this holler, and I do live in a holler. When I say I live in a holler, I'm here to tell you, Ben Hill is in the city compared to where I live. Not one time would I have thought somebody was missing. I would have thought she was hurt. Especially with having other siblings, the way kids play in the country. I would have thought she was hurt. Not missing. She goes on to say, being from around here, we know how these things go. Well, how many kids go missing at Ben Hill? because I don't know how things go. If a child goes missing in my neighborhood, I can guarantee you I ain't thinking of getting him water to keep the scent down. It's not something that happens around here. It's never happened around here. But now, how's one fell off a trampoline and the neighbor go running to help because they thought maybe it was hurt? Yes. Been there, done that, bought that t-shirt. Yeah, Lady R. I mean, you would have, if you heard, what did you do? Why are you thinking that somebody went missing for? Why did you not think hurt? And I'm sorry, but that's been the biggest red flag in this case, in my opinion. At the end of the day, people, like I said, we are all human. Yeah, why was she already thinking about search dogs? I've wondered that. And Jody Sue, if you ain't guilty of anything, then just shut up, because you're making it look like you are. Yes, they do. Make me very sad. And I'll be honest with you. While I do not agree with making jokes about a missing kid, I will still say it's equally as gross to throw allegations out there about something you have no proof on. Like that kid was SA'd. We don't know. There is no evidence of that. Is Don gross? Yes. Does he need to do time for what he done in Utah or wherever to his stepsisters? Absolutely. Do we know he did it to his girl? To his own daughter? Nope. Have no clue. Yeah, she seems to make herself, want to make herself look very relevant. She says she can tell you which ant peed on the pavement, but her first thought was kidnapper. Yeah, I mean, I want somebody to show me where another kid went missing on Ben Hill Road. Or several for that matter, because that's the way she makes it seem. I want to know where the handbook was that Jody Sue had. In case she hears somebody scream, she knows that somebody went missing. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense that during your text with Andy at 6:02, when you told Tiffany Marie you was going down the driveway, by the way, around 6:02, you was going to go on down there full of flyers. And let me just point out, that must have been the day to work in flyers in all of Rogersville. Must have been in the almanac. Work on your flyers today. Today's the day. Because that's what everybody was doing. Everybody was mesmerized with flowers that day. You got the TikTok showing flowers. Summer, Grandma, and Candace was all fooling with the flowers. Jody Sue going down the driveway, she's going to fool with her flowers too. Must have been the day for it. Not saying they're lying, but it seems awful funny that everybody wanted to fool with flowers on the 15th. Yeah, bunch of flyer girls, no wedding. Yeah, sure was. I mean, for crying out loud. And you're hyper vigilant, but you see a vehicle, the back end of the vehicle that don't look familiar. You hear a scream. A chilling scream. Let me just state that. At no point do you message Andy and tell him what you heard. You don't message the neighbors asking if something's going on. You don't walk to the end of the driveway then, or you haven't given an account of it. But yet a sketch artist would help you. But that's a whole different story and a rabbit hole that nobody wants to stick their head in. But you were hyper vigilant. Come on up, Lady R. I'm easy to talk to. Very easy to talk to. And I don't get mad and block people for their opinions. I ask everybody to be respectful, but I hadn't noticed that. I had not noticed that. Come on up and talk to me. And then you've got witnesses saying that her son was sneaking around the Wells place after Summer went missing. A lot of people think that he was, being a peeking Tom and stuff, but I'll be honest with you. You know what rings true to me? What I can see? If that is true, it would not surprise me in the very least that Jody Sue would send him over there being nosy, spying. And you know what? You've also got a video that came out like September where Jody Sue is saying this. I'll just let y'all listen to it. Let me see if I can find it. But she's pretty much saying that you could be at the end of back of the house in the weeds, and to everything I can find, this was before Cracking Cases went up there and did the dog trail video, but said you could be in those weeds and watch that basement and it wouldn't be anything. Just a second, I'll play it. So there's that. How do you know? How on earth would you know that you could hide and look at that basement window and it would be nothing? Like nothing. That's what she said. Are you speaking from experience? Pretty good question, I think. Let me find which one it was. Just a minute.
The perspective. That particular way that shape is, like you could literally hide behind the wing center and the way the bank is shaped, watch that basement door and just wait, like, and it wouldn't even be a thing. Like, it's not as inaccessible as it looks. The pictures and the way the perspective from video and even the still frames, especially in the news, make it seem absolutely impossible to access, but it's not. Theirs is definitely more accessible than ours by a long shot. But it honestly kind of is the way it's set up, especially with foliage popping up in those days before it was. You could have sat there. That particular.
Let's hear that one more time. Because now keep in mind, when she did this interview, she claims they wasn't close. They weren't friends.
The way that's shaped is like you could literally hide behind the weed center, and the way the bank is shaped, watch that basement door and just wait. Like, and it wouldn't even be a thing. Like, it's not as inaccessible as it looks.
How do you know? How would you know? Because this wasn't a video done a month or two ago when all these other videos that have been taken from Ben Hill have been put out. This was back the beginning of September, maybe the end of August, somewhere around through there. I'm not sure about the date. So how did you know how the weeds was that you could stand down there and look at that basement door and just wait? How'd you know that? And while I'm at it, I'm not going to let people forget about this man neither, because I think he needs to be looked at. It's nobody but 423 Chase. He comes on the scene before Summer goes missing with a YouTube channel. Then after she goes missing, he's looking everywhere. He made videos. You look in his car, he's raising up the flyers and he's calling Don out. Then they do the fundraiser, which I'm not against, but they do the fundraiser. And some things come out on that fundraiser. And then the billboards, it starts getting a little bit thicker. And then you got him saying this, and I'm sorry, but this recording never left my mind, because he isn't speaking an opinion. He is acting like he has facts.
Candy knew that Don was taking showers with Summer and molesting her, and there was a man at the bottom of the hill and a woman.
There's another man and a woman involved in this. The man is the getaway driver, okay? The man is the one that was driving the truck, sitting at the bottom of the hill. There was a woman came up that hill on the back side and lured Summer out of there.
He said there was a woman came up that hill on the back side and lured Summer out of there. What did Jody Sue Brown just say? You could hide at the back of that house, look at that basement, and just wait. You've got two people telling about how Summer could have got gone.
Went in the house. Grandma distracted Candace long enough for this to happen. If you don't believe me, you wait another 2-3 weeks. Wait another 2-3 weeks. Tell me if what I'm telling you ain't true. But you cannot. All this bullshit about drugs this, drugs that, sold it for this, sold it for that, was renting her out in the shed. That's bullshit. All that's just a bunch of bullshit. What happened is Grandma saved that little girl's life.
Now, do I think everything he said was the truth? No, but I do think that he knows a little bit more than he's saying.
Where is she?
I don't know, but there are people that do know.
Like law enforcement?
Private investigators know, and the FBI knows. There's one missing piece, and that's the girl that lured her out of there.
The girl that lured her out. The girl now. Don't look at that with just like a person, because he didn't say a person. He said the girl lured her out of there.
Woman that lured her away, and that's what they're waiting on.
How do they know that Summer's safe?
They got eyes all over her, honey. But they cannot finish what they started until they find out exactly who Grandma had to lure her away. But Grandma's not talking. She's a freaking. Grandma ain't been out here on a freaking joyride vacation. Grandma's been in the box.
Is she back in Tennessee?
Yeah, she's back. She came back for about 3 days and gone again. Because she's going back to make sure Summer's okay.
Now wait on it, because he gives a place where Summer is supposed to be.
Taken care of. Grandma's going to be a hero. But Sal, now, see, here's the thing. Tiffany, we need people to stop showing Candace hate. We need people to say, you know, Candace, we know Don's got his foot on your throat. Just talk. Just talk. He is. But Grandma saved Summer. She's going to take heat for a while.
Okay, but when is Summer going to be put in the hands of law enforcement? Like, when is she going to be turned over?
Let Grandma get back to where she's going. It ain't going to be long, honey. It won't be much longer. Just... And don't believe me. Think I'm a... I mean, that's fine.
No, I don't think that about you, Chase. I wouldn't even talk to you if I thought that.
Okay.
That's...
Yes.
Okay, so, where did fucking Candace take off to now? Candy, here, back to fucking Wisconsin?
She's going... No. Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
The hell? Indiana.
Yeah.
Who lives in Indiana?
People's family, people's this, people's that. That's where she wasn't in Wisconsin long.
Okay. So she went back to the house and then she left after 3 days?
Yeah, she's done gone. I mean, she's done gone. She's done gone again. She came home. She's gone again.
What did she go home for?
Who knows?
I'll make her the fucking hero. If Summer's nice.
She's alive, Tiffany.
Okay. Well, they better get on top of it before Don does something crazy, Chase.
He has no clue. Don has no clue. That's the stupidest motherfucker I believe I've ever met in my life.
So he wasn't there that day?
Huh?
He wasn't there that day?
He was not there when Summer went missing. He was not at that house. He went to lunch from 3 to 3. I mean, some bitch wasn't. He didn't go meet Candace and Grandma. He didn't go meet this. Grandma pulled this off because she knew Summer was getting molested. Okay, the boys wasn't getting molested. All right, but the fact is, if a girl's getting molested, they're gone. The family will never see them again. Right? So Grandma got her gone. She got her out there, but they knew the CPS was coming that next day. She finally told Candace what happened, and she got the hell out of Dodge. When Candace had her interview with Chris M, if you will look, when she talks about Summer, she doesn't cry very much because she knows she'll see Summer again. But when it's about them boys, she starts showing a hell of a lot of emotion. But she did with the boys because she don't know she'll get to see them again.
That's what I want on Billboard. Summer up there.
Oh no.
So, does this sound to you all like he's giving an opinion, or is he speaking very matter-of-factly? And I'm sorry, but a coincidence with her saying, well, you could have sat right there behind them weeds and watched that basement door and it would have been nothing. And then he come along and said the exact thing on how it happened, and then goes even a step further and said it was a female that lured her away. Then we get all this information about the red truck. Well, the red truck was supposedly reported from someone who drove that route every day for their job. Correct? Anybody care to know what 423 Chase does as another job? He's a paper delivery boy. I've always thought that he was shady as can be. Always have thought that. It just seemed odd. Yeah, he has a long criminal history. And probably one of the biggest scammers anybody ever laid eyes on, to be honest. But I don't know. I think it's awful weird that you've got two people giving the same story that supposedly can't stand each other. Have you ever heard in every lie there's a little bit of truth? And like I said, then you got Jody Sue that was down there. Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you something about this right here. I contacted him wanting flyers several times. And guess what? Never got them. Never got them. Yeah, and his YouTube change, and I'm not doxing him because his name's all over YouTube, but his YouTube name was 423 Chase. His YouTube was made before Summer went missing. And Chase was Summer's favorite Paw Patrol. Lady R said she contacted him. No flyers. Not one. I ended up making my own flyers. And not only that, I also made a magnet for my husband's semi. Because it's in every state. And like I said, when I hear scream and somebody hollering for their child and asking their other child, what did you do? I'm thinking somebody got hurt. Broke down or not, I'm going up that hill. I'm going to find out if somebody needs my help. I'm not jumping in the creek. And people, this ain't a deep creek. When I was down there in February, it didn't look deep to me. So why in the world were you feeling on the bottom of that creek with your feet instead of your eyeballs? If there's so many doggone needles in that creek that it's dangerous, as you know, you said, you're going to be raking your feet around there to get stuck by a needle. Makes no sense. Cassie, I want to. I'm not sure. I've got a placement that's supposed to be coming, foster kids, and if I get them before the 15th, then they will be my top priority. Not only that, but I have had surgery on my mouth, so I'm not really sure how risky that would be. But now, somebody come up and chat with me. I put the link in the chat again. I'm not going to be on here too long, but my overall point of this entire video, though, is let's not get confused with YouTube, y'all. In regular life, if you hear bullcrap, you would probably call it as just that. Nobody in real life will be able to convince you that a duck is a chicken. Oh, Cassie, I understand that. Normally, people don't follow kind of cult-like. And it's a little scary how many people can listen to one creator. And because they seem to be their favorite, they go exactly by what they say and what they say alone. It can't be nowhere else. Nobody else can have any information that contradicts this person. Nobody. And then they'll spend a week arguing about it. And then you have people say, well, what does this have to do with Summer? Well, I'll tell you. While they're sitting there arguing, the focus is on that argument. It's not on Summer. Exactly. Right here is a good point. Until somebody else pays your internet bill, don't let them tell you who to watch. You will never hear me on this platform telling anybody who they can and cannot watch. You want to know why? Because it ain't none of my business. No, I'm not no huge channel myself. I'm just a country girl with a YouTube page, giving her opinion. I have 419 subscribers. Not no big channel. And I sure ain't telling you who to watch. Because I wouldn't let nobody tell me who to watch. I will say this, though. Everybody use your own common sense on who to watch. I personally am not going to support somebody that is out there telling people to do stuff like mass report people that they don't even know to CPS. I'm not going to do that. That's some high school crap, and I ain't mixed up with high school drama. Do you remember when you was in high school and there was 2 or 3 girls getting mad, or boys for that matter, getting mad at somebody else, and all of a sudden that other person ain't got no friends? Why? Because everybody's following the more popular one here on the right, other than the girl on the left. Do y'all remember when that stuff used to happen? It happened in high school and grade school, and now it happens on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Cassie. Thanks. And you know what's sad? You want me to tell you what's real sad? It's the fact that somebody that might have kids themselves, I don't know, would actually ask for people to do this to another mother and father. And small children. That's what's sad. Because if you would want to harm those kids and disrupt their life by something you have no proof of, that speaks volumes. You ought to be ashamed. And at the same time, you're taking the resources that are meant to help kids to use as a vendetta and taking the eye and the ball off these kids that actually need them. Or calling the cops. Calling the cops every doggone time you get mad at somebody. You ought to be ashamed. I don't understand it. I always heard if you do dumb games, you get dumb prizes. Yeah, and like Leor said, that's dangerous. You don't play with people's kids. Exactly. And not only that, but while you're false reporting, committing a crime yourself, false reporting, There's other kids out there that are being mistreated, other kids that are being abused, other kids that are living in pure torment that need CPS to show up at their house, and maybe your phone call come through first. Have you ever thought about that? Situations like this, minutes matter. Don't follow the coattail of somebody that would tell 1,000 people to do something like that. Because it's gross. And if the blind lead the blind, they will both fall in the ditch. And trust me, if they'll do this person like that, they will do you like that. Let them get mad at you. There's no bounds. You want to look at these people that have said, oh, I'm friends with the Wells, but I got mad. Now I'm on somebody's live, telling all. Let me tell you, if they will do them like that, they will do you like that. Bet your friends. That was what I was saying earlier. Those visits are traumatic on kids. You want to stand there and say you're a child advocate, but at the same time tell people to mass report to CPS? If you can't tell, this really gets under my skin. While you have kids terrorized? No, a leopard don't change its spots. And I'll be honest with you. Anybody that can do that to me, their information is as useless as a screen door on a submarine. I'm not taking that person serious. And I don't care how much you say you love Summer. It don't matter. If you're willing to go to those limits, I'm not so sure you love kids. Yeah. You can tell a lot of people by the fruit they bear. Watch them a while. But don't get so caught up in the rigmarole that you're willing to follow them right off of the cliff. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. Exactly. Yeah. Don't do crappy things in Summer's name. Don't claim you love Summer and then tell people to terrorize this other family and their kids because you got your feelings hurt. It's gross. It's gross. Or is it because you got your feelings hurt? Or are you spreading lies because your views went down? Just sitting there. I guess as anxious as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs, just waiting to stir the pot. It's sick. Very seldom do I go live. Very seldom. Once a week is a lot for me. Yep. People, I've been on here 2 hours and I didn't mean for it to be this long. I really didn't. But if you take, hello, flies in the coleslaw, aka Kathy. I need to mod you under that name. But if you don't take anything away from this video, I ask you to consider what these kids feel like when officers come into their home and disrupt their life. Okay, you're already modded. And disrupt their life. Ask them questions that they probably don't understand. For someone wanting to get even. Flies in the coleslaw. I didn't know. I was looking at you on StreamYard, so I had to pull up YouTube just to see if you still had your inch in under that name. But imagine that. And understand that a lot of these kids, I mean, don't terrorize somebody else. It's plain and simple. Don't terrorize somebody else's kids because you want something to say on YouTube. Don't do it. There's a lot of kids in the foster system. There's not a lot of foster parents. Think about that. Where do you think these kids that don't have homes go to? Do you care? If you do care, then quit being ugly. Welcome back, Grinding Fox. If you really care about kids, think about what you're doing. Don't have people calling CPS on a hunch. What if it happened to you? One of these people said CPS was called on her 5 times. How did you feel? And if that was the truth, I would think that you would be hardcore against this. Unless you were guilty. Yeah, barely a hunch, a rumor. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. And it's a sad world that we are living in now, that people dehumanize people. Or trauma. This is a missing now 6-year-old girl that probably started her day out like any other day that she had had, whether it's good or bad. But yet, some people can talk about it and I guess they want to pretend it ain't real. It is. I'm just... yeah. They do suffer because of false reports. Meanwhile, you've got the ones that need the help. It's a sad world And some of you may hate me for even saying this, but it's a sad world that it takes a kid to go missing for people to start loving it. It is. And I'm not talking about you people that never knew Summer. I'm talking about all the people that say they sat back and saw her abused. If you loved her, you would have called the law. Heck, or high water wouldn't have kept you from it. But you didn't. You didn't call the law. So it can only be one of two things. Did you really care? Did you care enough to call? Was it not your problem? Leslie, you saw the kids put on the blacktop, right? You went as far as to flip a swimming pool, but didn't call the law. Nope. Jody Sue, you saw her abused. What was that? They was all sharing one bowl of food, whether it was chicken noodle soup. I don't know what was in the bowl, but eating it with forks. I remember hearing that once. You was having to give these kids food, Jody Sue. You saw Dawn showering with Summer. These kids were being abused. You saw this. You didn't call law. So don't sit back on your screen and tell me you love Summer. I've always heard actions speak louder than words. And the actions before she went missing told me that you all didn't care. Now, meanwhile, you're doing 11-hour streams in her name. Talking about people doing streams in her name. Now, make that make sense. It don't make sense. You know, when her channel first popped up, and people, we're guilty for this. When she first came on YouTube, she was having sound problems. And I seen it going backwards and forwards because I see she was still alive, wondering if her sound had come through. Over an hour, 1,000 people waited in chat for her to say something. Now stop and think about that. Not a word was being said, and over 1,000 people waited in chat, waiting for her to say something. Yeah, Lady R, I would have flipped the mom. We would have had problems that day. Not a pool. Yeah, their story did change. And I made a video about it, and guess what? I got hate in the emails, in my email. But it did change. It changed quite a bit. It changed from Allie saying, well, he wasn't drunk, to, well, he was acting different, to, yeah, because he was intoxicated. Which is it? And if my kid comes home drunk after it's been with somebody, guess what? You just had a bad day because I'm calling the law. Matter of fact, if I'd have been friends with Candace for 2 years, she would have known me good enough not to give my kid alcohol. She'd have been afraid to. When you hang around people, you know them, okay? Did Candace give him alcohol? Well, a lot of signs point to it. I wasn't there. I can't prove it. But I can guarantee you this. I'd say Allie knew it. And I'd say it wasn't the first time. Because I'm going to tell you, even if somebody was dumb enough to let their kid go with somebody they don't trust, a smart person would say, well, me and this person is at odds and I don't want the law called on me. So were they friends? Still? Is that why H went? Yeah, Running Fox. That's what I mentioned. Said he was sitting in the corner rocking backwards and forwards. Well, that ain't what you said when Chris Madonna interviewed you. So which is it? Did you lose track of your story once Leslie was gone and couldn't direct you in the way that story was supposed to go? Because even though she left the interview, I can guarantee you she probably didn't leave the interview. All that phone typing over there, I'd say that was Leslie. Well, Lady R, we could think that. But now, if she did call the law that day, because if you see something, and I can't stress this enough. If you see something like that happen, you call the cops. Let them call CPS because minutes matter. So, if she would have called the cops while at that birthday party, there would have been a 911 call for that address. We would have heard about it by now, guarantee you. But it sounds like to me the only thing she did was flip over a pool that couldn't defend itself and ruin a whole lot of kids' fun that was playing in the pool at somebody's house that wasn't hers. I mean, to me, nobody said anything until they thought they could get their 5 seconds on YouTube. That's what it looked like. And if that's the case, and you didn't see nothing when it happened, you're the problem. And you can't get on YouTube saying you care about Summer. I love her. I want her home. And in the same interview, well, I know that they gave drugs to the kids, and I know that the boys was drinking, and I know that Summer was showering with Don. Well, if you knew all this, then why in the Happy Friday didn't you take and call the cops? Because we may not have nothing to talk about right now had you done it. Especially with the drug situation, because that's real easy to check. They could have done a blood test, end of story, kids removed from home, no Summer missing. Yeah, they put their cash apps out. But at least she put it out saying she wanted a cash app. She didn't make videos saying, I'm so tired of people putting all this false information out there over for likes, clicks, and views and cash apps, while your cash app is in the top right corner. Is that not the pot calling the kettle Blackie? Yep. Yep. Wasn't shy about it. I can respect that more than I can somebody, well, like I said, making 11-hour lives about people making money in Summer's name while you're doing an 11-hour live making money in Summer's name. And if you think that's why she's staying on the line for 11 hours at a time, then I've got a mansion in Hawaii I'll sell to you for a dime. It's gross. It's disgusting. Am I saying Jody Sue had something to do with Summer getting going missing? Nope. I'm saying Jody Sue makes it look like that. Jody Sue sure makes herself look suspicious. And girl, if you ain't guilty, then let me give you some advice. Pick up you a crocheting needle and start making stuff and put that on YouTube, because you sure are making yourself look guilty. If you can't crochet color, there's other things you can do other than get on Facebook to act like you're the only person with information on the Summer Wells case when you have no information on the Summer Wells case. Everything that you've put out there, law enforcement has said is unfounded for a reason. You know, I have nothing against people making money on YouTube. I don't. And you're right. If they want to cover missing unsolved cases or missing children's cases and has a super chat button, that's fine. That's fine. But one thing, don't dig a hole with it on the same case when there's lots of kids missing. But most of all, don't get on your channel dogging people about making money when you're sitting there making money. Now, I was on the panel of the person that everybody wanted to mass report. I was on that panel that night. Lots of you probably know who I'm talking about. And I will be the first one to tell you that if I thought they were doing drugs on a panel, I wouldn't have been up there. I wouldn't have. Sorry, I get quiet. I start reading. I get sidetracked. But I wouldn't have been on that panel. I would have dropped off without saying anything. And I'll be honest with you. If I would have seen them doing drugs on a live and I saw it with my own eyes, I would have been the one to report. But just because somebody turns their camera off because they don't want their kids saw, which I respect, by the way, it don't mean they're doing drugs. It don't. That's reaching. It's gross. Stop it. Talk about the birds flying or something. The people that follow you to mass report probably listen to you talk about a whippoorwill in the tree. Don't terrorize kids. Don't take up valuable resources that other children need. and then claim you're a child advocate. You ain't nothing but drama. That's what you are. Yeah, you're right. I've watched them for a while, and I've never saw their kids come into the room what they didn't turn off the camera. Is that to say that their kids has ever come in and they didn't turn the camera off? I don't know. I haven't watched every second of every hour of their videos. But I can tell you that that night they did not seem high to me. It was a great live, actually. If somebody that wasn't trying to nitpick everything would just sit down and watch it for a minute. And at no point did I get the feeling that they were on drugs. Half the chat could think I'm drunk right now. You want me to tell you why? Because I've had surgery on my mouth and my words don't pronounce good. I'm not. I'm not drunk. Actually, I hate alcohol. I'm telling you. It's a sad world when we can't do nothing no better than that. And if you can sit on your hind end, like I said before, behind a computer and make accusations about people and nitpick 5 seconds of a video and do it saying, don't do it in Summer's name, while you have Summer's name in your title, and these people didn't have nothing but let's chat in theirs, then let me tell you, once you get out here and get you a job and start helping foster homes that's trying to take these kids in, because you're being an idiot having people mass report. It's gross. It's uncalled for. But show your receipts where you've tried to make a difference. And then there's some that'll say, well, I built the Summer Wells community. Really? Because from what I can see, about half of them don't like you now. And there's still a community. People are talking about Summer because they have compassion for this case. One thing I can say that I'm very glad it's going on is you've got a bunch of creators that didn't used to like each other that are coming together, brainstorming. And it don't matter if some of them think the family is guilty, if some of them think Jody Sue is guilty, some of them think it may be Frank White, some think it might be Fred Hill, some of them think it's Ronnie Lawson. I don't know. They got different opinions, but guess what they're not doing? They're not going for each other's throat, as far as I know. They're not having CPS called on each other. They're agreeing to disagree, and that's good. And that's what it takes. You want to help in this case? Then find a way to make a difference. Whether it's finding a petition that you agree with and signing it. Like I said, I became a foster parent. And that's during this case, and I'm telling you, I saw a lot of foster kids come through my door. And like I said, most of them show up with all their stuff fitting in one little grocery bag. So how about you find one of them agencies and donate to those kids. You don't got to worry about something being a scam then. Go directly to the source if you're going to give your money. But do it. Yes. If you believe in prayer, and I strongly do, your head shouldn't hit the pillow any night what you haven't prayed for this baby. And everyone that has a missing child out there. All these families. I guess what I'm trying to say can be summed up in one sentence. And that's put up or shut up. If you want to make a difference, get out there and do something. Honey, I'll take all the hate they want to give me. I'll wrench who I want to. Unless you don't want to wrench, then I'll remove it. But they ain't nobody. Nobody tells me who I can wrench and who I can't. I do what I want, Lady R. Thank you, Flies in the Coleslaw. Oh, I imagine you are, sweetie. I imagine you are. But you know what? I don't listen to what other people say. They don't influence me in the least. And you've never done anything to me. You've been very pleasant in my chat tonight, so I wrenched you because I need some mods. And if somebody don't like it, they can unsubscribe. I don't care. I'm not a monetized channel. Yeah, I would like to get to 500 subscribers so I can get that community tab and post missing children and updates and stuff like that. But other than that, that's my only goal on YouTube. My only one. I got a typing finger and I know how to use it. It's good to have you, hon. It is. I mean, people, you all will see me in several different chats. And to be honest with you, that ought to show you I don't let nobody tell me where to go and where not to. Probably wouldn't see me in some of them places if I listened to my favorite creator. Just saying. And if you ever hear me trying to tell you who to listen to and who not to, remind me in chat that I'm a hypocrite. Because I'm telling you, I've never in my life seen so many people just blindly following people. Never have seen it like I have in the Summer Wells case. And it's sad. I guess the saddest thing is thinking that a whole bunch of people ain't thinking for themselves. Like I said in the beginning of this video, don't matter what I put out there. Don't take my word on it. Do your own research. Develop your own opinions. Code Grace Crystal don't want no echo chamber. I don't. I invite people on panel all the time because I don't want an echo chamber. If people believe one way, I want to actually talk to them and see why they're seeing things this way. You may know something I don't. Let's have a rational conversation and talk about it. Yeah, go look for yourself. Don't listen to people. Following somebody because they say something and it sounds good is how cults are created. Nobody can debate anymore. They can't. Or it don't even have to be a debate. Nobody can have a civil conversation, it don't seem like, without coming at each other. I mean, I see milk jugs popping everybody's chat lately. And again, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with making jokes on missing children. But you know what? It's not as gross as some of the stuff I've heard out here. Well, you all, I have done went almost, well, longest I've ever had alive, right here. And hopefully I've gave you something to think about. Not necessarily talk about, but think about. It don't take much effort to be kind, y'all. It don't. And don't blindly follow somebody because maybe you agreed with them once upon a time and now you've been like watching their lives and they're your favorite creator, so they have to be right. No, when you got 1,000 people following one person, like I said, that's how cults are created, right there. Am I saying YouTube's a cult? Nope. But I'm here to tell you that if that one person had 1,000 people following them out here in the real world, what would they be called? A cult. And I ain't never saw no good cult. But I'm going to get off here. I'm not really sure when I'll be able to come live again. Like I said, I'm waiting on a placement. Not really sure how that's going to go. Been trying to get everything ready because normally I take teens. But this time it's younger children. But I've just been trying to get everything ready around here. And like I said, when they come into the home, they become my priority, along with my daughter. And I can't give it for certain when I'll go live. Because if they are here, or if my daughter, even though she's 17 going on 18 years old, is here, then you won't see me on a live. I'm sorry, you won't. But until next time, everybody, remember, it takes zero effort to be a good human being. If you don't care, hit that like button, subscribe, tell a friend. Over here, you're welcome at Cold Case Crystal. We're not going to ban you for your opinions. You've got to be a rude person to be banned from my chat. And like I said, I do want that community tab. I think it'd be a good way to put information out there about missing kids and updates about missing kids. Or alerts for that matter. But like I said, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. It don't matter. If you're watching on the replay, let me know in the chat. And you all, until next time, like I said already, it takes zero effort to be a decent human being. Let's care a little bit more about each other. Remember, everybody is human. Talk to you later, y'all.